You know they happened.
Yes.
Our tribe, the Yamassee Native Americans, have just been confirmed with federal full recognition. Right? It was done this year, in fact, in South Carolina, with one of the strong ones. That's the Muscogee tribe, which is linked to us.
Okay.
And I don't know if Deborah mentioned to you that as my name York relates back to Ben York of Lewis and Clark. And that I'm a full-blooded, Yamassee chief. We call it Mika. That's the Creek word of the Native Americans, and it's chief. And so they're also filing that because on June 23rd, I think, back in 2003, the judge allowed me to speak before the court. That for the record, let the record show. Because they would tell me about the plea. I said I was forced to take this plea. I didn't want to take no plea. I was under duress.
Right.
Not getting my medication. I was being tortured.
Right.
I was sleep deprivation. I didn't know what I was signing.
Right.
And I said the lawyers knew that, and that's why he got that letter from Arroyo. He knows that all that stuff was messed up anyway. So I made a statement before the courts. I told him I am a sovereign, a retained sovereign of the Yamassee Native Americans, and our land has been confirmed of who I am. My genealogy has been confirmed that I'm a chief, and that y'all don't really have the right. I should be in the courts or in the custody of my tribe, but we have our own legal courts as recognized according to the laws of this country.
Right.
That went back and forth, and that judge, when he heard that was a different judge than Royals. When he heard that the next day, he recused himself off the case because that we presented the blueback that was signed by the then governor of Georgia, Mr. Sonny Perdue, confirmed that our tribe was registered with a registered number and everything. He didn't waste no time. They created some stuff about maybe, they used an excuse, but he actually, that's why he really recused himself, because they knew that they couldn't hold me, and so they just, because I was arrested on my application when it spoke of my nationality. It has Indian. It doesn't have Negro, because they have W-I and L, right? W-I and L. W is for white, I is for Indian, and L is for Latino. And so all my forms and all my armbands and everything, the family has copies of that too. It said Native American, Indian. When they sent me to New York for my third evaluation, right? The psychiatrist there said on the document he is a Native American, African American. In other words, he's a black Indian. And then we did the research. They pulled up all the records on the Yamassee tribe, and in the documents in the 17th century it says that the Yamassee tribe are African-looking, dark-skinned, woolly-haired Indians, but they are the indigenous people of the Hawaii. I'm bringing this up for a reason. Of the Hawaii area. That included Eagle Rock Mound, all the land we was on called Wahani in our day, all up and down Putnam County from Brunswick, Georgia, all the way up to South Carolina. All of that was our land.
Okay.
When I started petitioning, and they saw I was petitioning, after I had already purchased the land that we were on and was building there, that's when they panicked. And they said Native Americans are starting to win their land back because we were linked with the Washitaw, who had won all the land in Louisiana from the Louisiana Purchase. And that my name is in her book. The queen of that thing mentions my name, that my grandfather was married to her grandmother. So that is a confirmation of who we are.
Great.
Seals was brought in for the purpose of getting me out and burying me so that we could not claim all of our land as sovereign Native Americans, indigenous people of that land, or aboriginals. That's what started a lot of this mess. We didn't know this was going on behind closed doors.
Right.
And all the scheming and stuff. We thought it was really about them telling us what we could build on the land and what we could not build on the land, which we already had all the permits to do everything anyway, but they were saying we didn't. And we would show them and they would say, here, we say, here's the permit. You said we could build our building, which we didn't have to ask them as Native Americans, but I respected it. I said, I respect the county and I respect their laws. And they just turned it against us. The whole thing, this whole case here that most people don't know, has nothing to do with no sex. Deborah can tell you, I could be a lot of things, but one thing I'm not is a pedophile.
Right.
They know that.
Yeah, I could be a whole lot of I'm not going to say I don't have a lot of women You know, I was a pretty good-looking guy in my day. You know, then before they beat me up in here, but
you're not, yeah. And Deborah did explain that and how you know, there are so many witness recantations in this.
That was all a setup. All they wanted was the land, and they get rid of me.
Right.
And so the point I'm trying to make here, so you can speak to me, is that this thing started with the Native American.
Right.
They found out Dr. York is really a Native American of African descent. They said, well, how can you be from Africa and be a Native American? Because in Georgia, the first people that left Georgia to go back to Sierra Leone and over to Liberia and Ghana left from Georgia. And they left from I forgot what they call it now, of course. But they left Georgia and went back to Africa. So we have family on both shores then. We had family that was slaves brought from Africa to America and then went back over to Africa, if you remember, and that's why it's called Monrovia, because President Monroe is the one who allowed the Liberians to make their first trip and set up the capital of Liberia from ex-slaves. Half of the ex-slaves who went back were Native American, black Native Americans of the Seminole, the Creek, the Blackfoot, the Shinnecock, and Yamassees, and some of the Cherokees went over, and that's how you have both Native American and pure African at the same time.
That's very interesting.
And it's all on record. So now one of my sons, he had got all the documents. He went to Hague. He spoke before the courts. He spoke in Washington, and boom. Now they've just confirmed and gave us a new number for the Yamassee Muskogee, and it's on record, registered. And so they're panicking again because they're like, okay, the Native Americans can just come and claim him.
Right.
I'm on record as a chief, and they can't say I came up with this after I got arrested, because there's pictures of me with my braids and my full Native American regalia on. I mean, and records, and we did the files, and people did a check. They did a blood check. They did the DNA thing, and there's nothing they can do, so they're panicking. And that's whenever they do that, they try to heighten my condition in hopes that I would pass.
Jeez.